the thing that I feel is important for my learning now is the obstacles that I still am holding on to. The obstacles. And the last obstacle, I guess, is the fear of God. Yeah, I haven't gotten to, and the thing is, this is a very deep teaching. Like, you know, the seeing gets deeper and deeper as you go through the Course in Miracles. But all books are leading to the same place. I'm going to say that the Course is a mind training, and that's what I think helps more than anything else. And it gives us hints all through the text on how to make this awakening really not serious. Not serious. Half my problem in this whole spiritual path that I'm on was when I had a teacher be very serious. Like, you should wake up early in the morning and meditate for 12 hours. Well, first off, what I got from my inner teacher is listen to me. Because nobody, if somebody wants to meditate like that, that's
I don't know why, but
means is it's happening by itself. And this book called The Cosmic Joke leads you to see that you need do nothing. However, I stay with the Course because I still have undoing to do. Undoing to do. So, if you listen to Keith always saying, who are you talking to? Because there's no one there, right? So this is the book. Now, it was written really not by a person. It was written by a publishing company. But what I realized is we're not people. We've never been people. We look like people.
all right, I don't know what's happening, but you keep cutting out. You don't.
So, but what I really got in a deep way when Keith said the insane mind is talking to itself. And we think it's for us, but there's no entity. There's no entity in Christ. I used to hear the ego say, this is too hard. How can I get rid of this ego? That's what the ego would say to itself. You can't, because the ego is a phantom. It's not real. It's a phantom body. And, I think sometimes when we start breaking through layers, we start to see it as our organic awakening, but we can't know what's right for anyone else. So he's talking, this author, who is all of us, because every author is essence. There's no one doing anything by themselves, right? It's all essence, God's essence. So why nobody knows who they are. There's this fascinating thing about meditation. Even when your thoughts slow to a trickle or vanish completely, something still lingers. This sense of me. But what is that me? Is it real? So it's a sense, right? It's like a imprint into the system that we say, well, but I have to be me because I feel things. And what we're looking at these days is to see how forgiveness, little by little, chips away at a story that was never reality. It was a figment of my mind's imagination. So the mind, clever and limited as it is, tries to make sense of something infinite. This awareness we all are. It's like seeing a reflection in a mirror and thinking, that's who I am. But what if the reflection isn't the whole picture? By exploring this me, questioning it, and shifting attention to the awareness that watches it all, something profound happens. You begin to see that the me isn't wrong. It's just a tiny part of the story. And beyond it, a sense of freedom, peace, and your limitless self waiting to be realized. So let's say like somebody would drop the path and they don't want to be on it anymore. Like let me give myself as an example. I can't, because the life that's living through this seeming body essence has a script to follow. So it's like when I pick up a glass, I don't hear the mind say, well, you're picking up a glass, right? The mind's not saying a word. The mind isn't really there. It's a sense of thought. And I think that it's hard when a lot of the things that ego would throw at me is how much of a failure I am, how I'm learning disabled and I don't have what everybody else has, and all this other stuff. And the believer was a phantom. The believer was a complete phantom character, just as Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage. So, you know, this mind, I mean, how can thought tell us what we are? Thought is not alive. Thought is alive from um, from me, from the me with the capital M. That's the only reason why these thoughts. And when there is the unraveling of the mind, as it slowly goes around and around, we can become the observer. However, the observer is not the end point, really. Although that's perfectly fine to be the observer because then you're out of trouble. But when you really move back into the depths of what we are, there's no end. There's no end. So he says, the mind, clever and limited as it is, tries to make sense of something infinite. This awareness we all are. Now, that's everyone. But if I see Lynn as Lynn, I'm seeing myself as Lynn, as Sharon. But if I see Lynn as this unlimited joy and love, well, that's what I'll see. Because that means I see myself that way. So it's just a mirroring effect that we all have. We're in a complete mind construct. The mind made our stories up with our memories, right? So it's you know, it's pleasurable as egos to all hate the same thing, right? But the idea, that's all this character is an idea, the ego will never get it. And so if I'm waiting for the mind to get it, it will not happen. So if everything's a mirror, then every thought I have belongs to me, right? The ego's in a big rush to wake up, isn't it? So it can then tell you how real it is. Wake up, go to another group, read another book. You know you don't know this like other people. Anyway, Lynn, you wanted to talk, honey?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah, as you're saying, and I just went and got that book too. And yeah, it's a couple in Germany who put that book together based on teachings from Nisargadatta and Sailor Bob and Brahmana Maharshi. And so they had several different teachers, and they J. Krishnamurti, they this is they have a podcast, and so this is a like a synthesis of some of their stuff from their podcast, which is really cool. I love it. And so yeah, so what I hear you saying is that uh, if what I think is happening is based on what I want to see, then the reason that I'm seeing it is because I want to see it also means that I can choose to see something else. And when I choose to see differently than the world that I thought was tainted with, all the things that happened to me when I was a kid, all the things that are happening now, none of that has any meaning at all. I'm the one who says, oh, that means something. So if that means something, then I have to act or react. But if I just look at it and say, I made that up, it doesn't mean anything, I don't have to act or react. I can just be. Then I'm in such peace, and without the thinking and the fear. There's no more thinking required because whatever is done is done. So anyway, I like this. It's a cute little book, and I'm glad you mentioned it, brought it up, and I went and got it. So thank you, Sharon. And I see Gloria has her hand up.
You're beautiful, man. Gloria, too, I want to talk. Yeah, here. I just want to say, this came into my, because I have Kindle Unlimited. I thought, well, it's not going to cost me. And then I had, the whole book is experiential. That's why I love it so much. Florian, go ahead.
Yeah, it's so funny how whatever is meant, for us to see shows up because it's all about our own consciousness. We're always seeing our own consciousness. And I like what you're both sharing. And of course, I always go back to that, projection makes perception, which is a mirror and not a fact. And like what you were saying, Lynn, that's the idea, to catch it as this is a mirror of what I think, but it's not the fact of what I am. So we recognize that if we're not seeing our brother in the light of truth with the face of Christ, or what's really there beyond that false concept, that we are malpracticing them. And it's a universal malpractice. It's a universal hypnotism, mesmerism, whatever word we want to use, illusion. And this is the practice that we recognize all fear for what it is, and then are willing to turn it over in the reality of what we are. So we're moving from false perception to true perception, being willing to listen to the still small voice. And I also like what you said there, Sharon, because we can't really give what we have not received. So that's what you were saying, giving and receiving are one in truth. If I accept what I am as God created me, spirit, then I'm going to recognize that beyond the concept of Lynn or whomever as a reflection of love's presence. So it always comes back to beginning with ourselves first, recognizing that, I'm projecting the world I see. I'm responsible for what I see, but as Lynn said, we always can make another choice about it. And that's our freedom. Thanks so much.
That was so perfect, both you and Lynn. It's funny. There's a book that came into my awareness when I first started to go to gather, and that was called The Inner Ramana. Now, that too is very experiential. It's described as Regina Dawn Akers. It's a very, very good book. So I had actually listened to it the night before when this book showed up in my awareness, because the simpler things get, the more we crave the simplicity. Life is not hectic. It's not chaos. It's just life, living through everything, a rock, a dog, a cup, everything. So, and I have to also thank Robert, this just came into my awareness, that you had given us like such a great time reading your stuff that is profoundly coming from the IM. You can just hear it, just like this is. And this book is wonderful too. It's just what I found on Saturday night. I was doing this book. I was at my sister-in-law's in South Carolina, and my husband and her were playing this game called golf, and I was listening to this and reading it, and I fell into the depths of love, right? Because that's really all that's here. And then, as soon as my mind comes in with a thought, I am right back in the divide. Even though, for the most part, the thoughts don't stick like they used to. They just don't. They're not as sticky. The beliefs are certainly loosening, right? I mean, I never imagined that I wouldn't care about what's going on in a country that, seemingly is in trouble. But what I realize is this is nothing. Um, that was my son, but he always does that because he doesn't pay attention to when I told him where I'd be. In any case, I love those bells, don't you? Anyway, is he going to continue calling forever and ever? Now let's look at that. Is he really calling me? Or is that another thought? That's all that we're doing all day long. We are mentally masturbating on thought, believing that we're getting somewhere. There's nowhere to ever get. But I feel like this process has mitigated the guilt, because there's enormous guilt in the matrix, enormous, and the self-hatred. Now, choose again is probably the best gift that Jesus could give us, because you never make a mistake if you choose. And when you see that you're making the choice, or when I see that I'm making the choice, who am I making it with? Like, who's the noticer, right? All of a sudden, everything starts to make sense. The light comes on in the darkness. Now I know with certainty that there's absolutely not a real world here. It's a dream. And I was always afraid to say that, because I have a lot of undoing, and the interest I have in humility. That's the most important thing to me. Because if I know anything, I'm usually stuck in a thought. But if I don't know one thing anymore, because you really don't. I mean, I don't know. Like, what would I know? Well, if I go to memory, I might say I want a cup of tea, or, all of that. But it's so profound. I was walking my dog this morning very early, and maybe it was around like 6:30. I don't even remember the time, but the silence that was in this walk. And then I pulled on, because the mind started to get ornery. That's another thing, what I'm finding, restlessness. The mind's restless. It doesn't know what's going on, and it doesn't want to lose, its life. But it's never had a life, because it's me that's making it have a life, right? So, yeah, I really feel like everybody in this group is moving into this direction. Like, it's a process. This takes seeming time for all of us. And, one of the things I spoke about, obstacles, is the desire to get rid of it. That was me, and then there's all the other ones. And today's, I think it's the fear of God, which is the most ridiculous thing we could fear. It's who we are. But thought doesn't know that. Thought still has belief in it. And until thought is gone, it's just a game we play. Am I listening to the ego? Because if I am, then that means I'm failing. No, it means nothing. That's the whole point. This is nothing from nothing from nothing. It's all a perception of differences, right? So then he's saying, but what if the reflection isn't the whole picture? By exploring this me, questioning it, and shifting attention to the awareness that watches it all, something profound happens. You begin to see that the me isn't wrong. It's just a tiny part of the story, and beyond it, a sense of freedom, peace, and your limitless self waiting to be realized. A very helpful pointer is to stop and ask, who is the mind talking to? I've done that countless times, and there's no answer, because there's no mind. Gloria, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just coming to me that the fear of God is really the rejection of God, of wanting to be right and maintain ego control.
Your video is going in and out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just said the fear of God is the rejection of God in it, wanting to hold on to the ego and wanting to be right and control.
That's it. And we really believe that, or at least I did. I really believed that I'd be gone. But how can I be gone when I'm not anything but that? See, all the common sense comes forward from all the insane thoughts. It's amazing to me, like I feel I was like guided today to maybe walk outside on the ground, because it's my lower chakra, my root chakra, that's always been blocked. And that's really where we hide our worldly thoughts. So, I did some exercise. I try in the morning to do it, because, when the ego comes in when I'm tired, it'll say, don't do it. But, if I know I don't know my best interest, then why listen to a mind that doesn't have my best interests at heart, right? And who am I? I am. So, It's beautiful, this whole thing, and waking up with everybody. Um, there's a lot of people when they do something like this that makes them cuckoo because you cannot get to Oz without walking the road. That's just how simple this is. So anyway, he's saying just a simple question, yet implications are profound. The voice feels intimate as though it's addressing someone, but who exactly is on the receiving end of the endless dialogue? And why do we mistakenly take the I thought as who we are? Well, Lynn, do you have it up now? Do you want to read it too?
Sure, where are you at?
Well, I don't know the page. I'm 14 minutes left in the chapter. It's all it says. It doesn't
Okay,
give me
all right. Let me just go back and see what did you just read?
who's talking. I'm on like at the beginning. Who's the mind talking to? And then
Okay,
this
okay.
yeah. And then I'll go in a couple minutes and we'll go. It's a good book, isn't it? Because it's so
Right.
simple.
Yeah, and so let's see. So I'll just read what were the last words that you read just now?
Um, thought as who we are.
All right. Let me see if I can find that. I don't know. Oh, I got to 1 minute left in the chapter, so I must have missed it. It's the end of a paragraph, thought as who we are. Okay, let me find it. My observational eyes are not as good as they used to be. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and put it up here in the room. I wasn't even sure if you were actually reading from the book, so
Well, I was both. Read a line and then see what comes up.
okay. And maybe did you communicate with your child who's apparently trying to get a hold of you?
Can I what?
Did you? Are you going to call Andrew?
No. He'll be fine. No.
Oh, good. I'm so
Yeah,
glad.
he doesn't know what I'm doing, and I do tell him on Tuesdays, but he'll go, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mom, I forgot." So it's just like what I see. What I'm seeing now is how much this is Groundhog Day.
Yeah,
This is a recording, and this is my pretend boy.
over and over. Yeah.
Right.
So you know what? Me, I'm like, oh, maybe something's wrong. Maybe he needs you. Maybe you have something I'm thinking the story. So
Well, but I do that too. It just depends where, it's so crazy because if you're in the wrong mind, you can't possibly be in the right mind. And when you're in the right mind, you can't possibly be in the wrong mind. And by realizing that, we will gravitate to the right mind because there's something I think that I'm addicted. Well, the biggest thing I'm addicted to is pleasure in the mind, like eating and, let's have fun and paint and always do to get into that silence. It's magnificent. Anyway, Lynn, I'm going to call Gloria and then you take back the mic.
okay, yeah, Gloria, go ahead.
I just want to say quickly to what Sharon's last sentence, and why do we mistakenly take the I thought as who we are? It always comes down to some form of desire based upon the scarcity principle of lack. And ultimately the desire that we truly have beyond that is the desire to be at one with God. Thanks.
Thank you, Gloria. Okay, you're up now, Lynn.
All right, thank you so much. And yeah, I mean, if when we get right down to the motive, why is it that I'm doing this? And then, just ask, is it necessary? Is it something I really want? What do I really want? And what I really want is the peace of God. So, what I'm bringing up is causing me a lot of upset and unrest. So, I'm going against myself. I'm absolutely going against myself. So let's see. Uh, so you just read the very helpful pointers to stop and ask, who is the mind talking to? It's such a simple question, yet its implications are profound. The voice feels intimate as though it's addressing someone, but who exactly is on the receiving end of this endless dialogue? And why do we mistakenly take the I thought as who we are? To truly explore this question, we must first examine what we commonly take for granted, the idea of me. This me feels solid and real, an entity at the core of all our experiences. It's the one who seems to think, feel, and live through life. But have you ever closely observed this sense of me? What is it really? When you look carefully, the answers may surprise you. Let's start by recognizing a simple truth. What we call life is a continuous flow of experiences. Sensations, thoughts, emotions, images, and perceptions. These rise and fall within awareness like waves on an ocean. One moment there's joy, the next a pang of sadness. A memory of childhood surfaces, then a thought about dinner plans, then an itch on your arm. These are fleeting, ever-changing phenomena, yet all of them are witnessed, known, and observed. If you pause and examine closely, you'll notice that you too are observing these waves of experiences. In fact, you are not the waves themselves. You are the one witnessing them. This witnessing is constant, unchanging, and effortless, even as the content of your experience shifts from moment to moment. You are not the thoughts, not the feelings, not even the body. You are the awareness within which these occur. Now, here's where things get fascinating. Our minds are masterful storytellers. They create an ongoing narrative, weaving together the thoughts, memories, and feelings to craft an identity, the me. This sense of self feels like a separate, solid entity. But when you closely investigate this me, it begins to dissolve under scrutiny. It turns out that what we call me is not a fixed, unchanging thing. It's simply another layer of thoughts and feelings arising within the field of awareness. And how do I know it's not me? Because I can see it. I'm aware of it. I see it outside of me. So it can't be me. It's there.
Right. It's just that but we are so conditioned and well, I should speak for myself. Sometimes I'm just in that trance, the ego trance, and
Yeah.
that and and there was a I don't know. I feel like that when you start to really get it, you know, you probably don't remember this, but I brought it up a couple times because I was shocked when I got into ACIM Gather. I hadn't read that book yet, but I couldn't stop laughing. Do you remember that, Lynn? When I saw like what was happening is
Oh, yeah. I remember you laughed all the time. What book are
right.
you
So
talking about?
right from the truth, from from realizing that the truth in me saw itself right then and there, and what it was seeing from ego perspective was like my name was Art Lady, yours was Sweet Dreams, and it was starting to crack up. But I don't know exactly. And what that was is that the spirit was really coming around, but the blocks of the ego were so dramatically bad because of the dramatic character that I play. You know, I grew up in drama. They weren't like, "Hi, how are you, Sharon, this morning? Sharon, you have your stuff." You know, and your whole nervous system.
Oh my God.
So you just have to, you know, what I'm seeing in me is how glad I am that you opened to Gather again. But it's already over, so it was going to open. But I was missing the course because I had lived that for not going out for years, just like listening all day and night and looking forward to it because but then when things start to happen that you don't want, it's like, oh no, you're not taking my kid, that kind of thing. But you know,
Yeah.
all of it is not even happening to him. What he looks like is no different than what I look like. We are pure awareness. And these are shadows. Anyway, so I feel like I'm so grateful to be here because you can't talk about this with anyone else. You just can't. I
No,
mean,
no, you can't.
it's
You know,
almost not fair.
you can, but you can't. And here's the deal. Um, if you talk to people about don't bring up God, don't bring up any forces, don't bring up anything, just talk to them. Like, I do this with my kids all the time. In fact, before I ever started studying the course, when they were kids, little, I mean, we told them, what you feel is what you want to feel. What you think is what you want to think. If you're going to be upset, it's because you decide you want to be upset. And you're the one who chooses what is important enough to make you upset or make you angry, or you're the one who makes that up. And so our kids have known their entire lives that they're responsible for their feelings, which is really huge for children to understand, that they're responsible for their feelings, because the world teaches us that my parents are responsible for that, or the school is responsible for that, or other people are responsible for that. And they are not. I mean, the only people that are responsible, the only person responsible for what I'm thinking and feeling is me. And so, yeah, we talk to our kids. And isn't that really the crux of all of this? Is the crux of all of this is this is the world that I create every day, that I live in, that I think is real to some extent. And so for them, they don't have to worry, is the world real or not? I don't have to tell people, oh, the world's not real and God's and blah blah. I don't have to do any of that. All I have to say is, uh, did you decide you were going to be angry today? Did you decide you were going to be sad? And if they say no, then I say, who decided that for you? Of course you were the one who decided that. It's the agency of mind that is the key through all, of course, the Course of Miracles, through Ramana Maharshi, Nisargadatta, Sailor Bob. All they're talking about is the agency of mind, the ability of me to control my thinking, to control my feelings, to control everything that I think is happening to me, to recognize that I'm doing it myself. And I see Glorian has her hand up. Please go ahead, Glorian.
Yeah, beautiful, Lynn, beautiful sharing. And I think that that's the empowerment, the recognition that I'm not a victim. And when I first found the course, that was really the answer I was always looking for, that I am empowered, because even if I feel like a victim, I have the power of decision. I have the power of choice to look at it differently. But it's really not something we can give, anyone. We can serve that to them and present that to them, but it's really merely their acceptance of it, their willingness to accept it and, step out of that blame game. So I think all we can do is be the transparencies for what we've accepted for ourselves, and continue to extend that and put it out there. But, we can't really cause anyone to accept that. You know what I'm saying? They have to accept that for themselves. And I think that
Yeah, I don't think, and the choice happens very deep in the mind, in the
yeah,
matrix. It is not happening outside. So it's like, to me, if you see that you have a choice, you've been called. Otherwise, you're still in the dream. And that doesn't mean anything either to me. Like, it used to be like, well, I'm lucky I have this. Well, that's the spiritual ego.
yeah.
There's nothing lucky or not lucky, because it's all the same. There's really nothing here.
I think it's an attribute of grace. And if we look at
Yes.
how she got to that point where she recognized there's got to be another way. And I think all of us, when we found this discipline or the other disciplines that we share and study, which is really the truth, we were saying that at some level too. I think I thought I was intelligent, but obviously not. And we invited in something else to make a different interpretation of this world that we seemingly see. So I think that that's the willingness, and you bring up the readiness a lot. And I think it comes down to the fact that we're willing to look at it differently, but it really is an element of grace that causes us to accept it. It can't be something that we can force onto somebody else's, well, there's only one ego, but we can share it, we can extend it, we can be the transparency for, the love of God in the world, but we cannot fix anybody or force anyone to accept what the gift that we've been given. Thanks.
That was perfect. It's I mean, imagine this, a lottery doesn't mean that much to me anymore. None of it. It's all smoke and mirrors. So, but when I look at the obstacles, this desire to get rid of it was very prevalent in the last couple of weeks, where the energy of Sharon seemed like, I was just jumpy, not scared, but like that restless feeling. And what I've learned is I got to remember I am not this character. I'm energy. And when the energy is starting to clear away or in the process of clearing out, there might be discomfort, but that's not who I am either. Because all of that is not the infinite. All of that is just, I mean, as Lynn and I go through this book, which I think is a great book, I love it because it's just so simple. But we'll see, like, on how much we really didn't have to do anything for this. But I don't know how that would happen because we're being lived perfectly well by the divine will. So, the minds are great at storytelling. And it takes every idea from the past. So then when I look at the story, it's like, well, that is me. Look, that happened before. It's all part of the trance. So the obstacle that, I really want to get to, like I'm taking the obstacles to peace as the primary teaching for me right now, because I'm teaching myself, I'm teaching the mind that it really has these fears and to stop going out there. And as soon as we're not out there, we stop projecting all of this fear that we had. It's weird. Like, why would anyone desire to get rid of it? Well, that's the ego. The ego doesn't want it. It knows already that we're not real. So, then all of a sudden, it's like, what the heck? All of this is just conceptual, and who am I is the only question. And when you lose your way, Glorian.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Sharon. And I think that's a great, practice of the obstacles to peace. When you were speaking, it was coming to me of how many times Joel, throughout the sacred teachings, talks about not relying on man whose breath is in his nostrils. That acknowledge, which really means seek within. Jesus tells us, seek not outside yourself, the appointed friend. Those two to me are like paramount in the course, that in order for us to recognize that nothing outside of us is going to save us, that it's our responsibility to develop that communication link with the Holy Spirit, the higher mind, and be willing to let that guide and direct our lives, that no man outside of us is our salvation. I was reading something recently in a meditation presentation from the Government of Eden. I know you have that book, where Joel was talking about no one's going to save you. No political institution, no Republican, no Democrat. Nothing is going to save you but the Christ within. And I think it's important to contemplate that and allow that to really become, to become imbued with that idea of not seeking man whose breath is in his nostrils to do anything, but recognizing the gift it is of the reflection of the mirror of myself. Like you said, we keep seeing the same stuff over, because even if we have gotten to a place of forgiveness with it, we haven't gone deep enough. And that's why Jesus tells us every dark cornerstone of guilt must be overturned, or the old thought system has the basis for return. So we can acknowledge that and recognize, wow, I am empowered because I can look at what this is presenting to me again, so I can make a better choice about it. And ultimately, we know that choice is to accept our divinity as we were created. Thanks so much.
That's so perfect. Perfect. And that's what we all are, perfect.
That's it. Yep. And how lucky we are to be here. Pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah, it is. I feel like it's like the biggest blessing ever.
It is, absolutely.
You can't say, like, I couldn't say to Cliff, this is what happening for me, because he's heard it. And, but what I can do is love him. Just love him. And, the judgments. Just look at those judgments when I have them. Or with my kids, look at them. I was at my son's house, John, over the weekend, and what I saw was my beautiful, I call her daughter-in-law, but they're not married yet, Hallie. She's so beautiful. While we were away, she cleaned our house. She completely cleaned our house as a surprise for me. And instead of looking at any defects in her of character, because that would be me anyway, the gratitude to actually be traveling for 8 hours straight, only stopping to go to the bathroom when I got to Altoona, walking into my house. And there are times where ego mind will criticize everyone in my family, everyone. I mean, there's no specialness in the ego. The ego hates everybody at this point. But the thing is, all the hate has to be felt in order to get rid of it. There's no embarrassment in hate because it's a concept. But the exercise of giving, somebody's drilling out here. I hope that's not bothersome, but I can go in too. When you look carefully, the answers may surprise you. This is a flow. That's all that's happening. And we are the experiencer when we are the avatar. And we experience whatever part we play in that moment. And in one moment, not even a couple seconds, we can be in one mood and quickly be in the other and not even know it. Because we are completely being lived and there is no time. And guess what? I'm not 70 years old, so there. Anyway, to share. I have to be silly when this gets like this because I'm really seeing that I've never been any of this.
All right, I'm going to play a song. Let me see if I have this set up so that I can play a song real quick, because this is the song that we love to sing. That keeps us right in our place, and you can sing along. You'll learn the lyrics really quickly. Let's see. Hopefully, it's not too loud.
Are all my problems based on the assumption that there's a separate independent entity that has power of its own, that can stand on its own, that has an independent nature of its own? Are all my problems based on the assumption that there's a separate independent entity that has power of its own, that can stand on its own, that has an independent nature of its own? Is there a separate independent entity, or is everything happening spontaneously? Is there a separate independent entity, or is everything happening spontaneously? Are all my problems based on the assumption that there's a separate independent entity that has power of its own, that can stand on its own, that has an independent nature of its own? Are all my problems based on the assumption that there's a separate independent entity that has power of its own, that can stand on its own, that has an independent nature of its own? Is there a separate independent entity, or is everything happening spontaneously? Is there a separate independent entity, or is everything happening spontaneously? Are all my problems based on the assumption that there's a separate independent entity? Are all my problems based on the assumption that there's a separate independent entity, the nature of its own? Is there a separate independent entity, or is everything happening spontaneously? there a separate independent entity, or is everything happening spontaneously? Is there a separate person in here that everything is now happening to? Is there anyone inside here? Is there anyone inside there? Is there a separate person in here that everything is now happening to? Is there anyone inside here? Is there anyone inside there? Is awareness happening now? Are sensations appearing now? Are there assumptions about what is here now? Is my true nature this awareness now? Is awareness happening now? Are sensations appearing now? Are there assumptions about what is here now? Is my true nature this awareness now? Is there a separate person in here that everything is now happening to? Is there anyone inside here? Is there anyone inside there? Is there a separate person in here that everything is now happening? Are there assumptions about what is here now? Is my true nature this awareness now? Is awareness happening now? Are sensations appearing now? Are there assumptions about what is here now? Is my true nature this awareness now?
And there we are, all the questions. And if you listen to the question, you'll realize the answer is right there. But unless we ask the question, you'll never know.
Wait, did you say something about a question?
Yeah, I said, yeah, that's all the questions right there.
Well, yeah, and the thing that's so hysterical is, the question is always the questioner, because there's only one. So it's like everybody has a part in the play, and we think these people are doing so much for us, to us, whatever, but it's just no different than a freaking movie. How about that?
Yep.
All right. Well,
so
it is almost. Oh, Glory wants to speak. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for playing that. And I think we
I loved it, by the way. Sorry, Glory. That song cracked me up. I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, it's adorable. But the answer is always that we're not separate. And that's what we were talking about last night, that ultimately all the different manifestations of the seeming fear, the seeming past, it's all the same thing. We feel separate from our source. And that's always, like he says, one problem and one answer.
I love that. Yeah. And once you start questioning and getting that answer, why keep questioning that? Because then it's going to tell you everything I think is a lie. Everything I see is there's something more behind. So I love that. So I'm going to keep reading here. We have about 8 minutes left before we switch over to another book. And I think we're doing A Course of Love. So anyway, so when the mind talks, it creates an illusion, the illusion that is speaking to this separate me, this separate independent entity. Thoughts arise, and then other thoughts seem to respond. A voice inside comments, analyzes, and questions, creating the impression of an inner dialogue. But here's the truth. No entity there is. That's why I wanted to share that song, because they keep talking about this entity. No entity is actually sitting behind the mind, listening and replying. It's as though the mind is talking to itself in circles, trying to sustain the illusion of a conversational partner. Beneath the layers of thought and emotion, what remains constant is the witnessing presence, the pure awareness in which all experiences appear and disappear. This witnessing is your true nature. It has no form, no shape, no desires, and no opinions. It is simply there, effortlessly knowing all that arises. And for me, this is probably one of the most important things to know and remember, that it's a witnessing presence, pure awareness. Are you aware? Is there an awareness? Because that's really what is witnessing and seeing. The form, the life, everything, behaviors, all that different thing. It's not an independent entity. It is, it is awareness that is in all of us. And it makes me think of the Buddhist principle of interconnectedness, or basically it is, and if you really get into it, which you can do that easily by just concentrating the mind, thinking about all the interconnections between everything and everyone, and realize that everything everywhere all at once is really the truth of what I am, awareness. And I am the cricket singing in the corner. I am the bird swooping over to pick up the cricket for breakfast. I am the all those things that did you send me that Thich Nhat Hanh, call me by my true name? I think you, Sharon, sent that to me, which I had seen that before and had read that poem many times before.
Yeah, I think I did, because I have his stuff too. I like when I've done something different than a lot of traditional students, because of I guess the way that's moving through me, wanted me to have a variety, because I have so many books. If you ever need any audibles, I'd give you my thing, because I just want to share it now. It's so, like, all of this is just, what a gift.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that the poem, "Call Me by My True Name," and absolutely, I would love to play that for us too. I think we have time. I'm going to go look for that real quick, because I think, again, it brings up the whole reality of our connection and the truth about who we are. It might have been, it was just recently, somebody just sent it to me. And if no one else mentioned in here that they were the one that sent it to me, I can look through my phone records, etc. But this is called "Please Call Me by My True Names." Let's see. A poem by Thich Nhat Hanh. All right, so I'm going to open that up. I'm going to pause that. And I'm going to share it. And now this is, obviously a Vietnamese man speaking, so it's not going to have, you're going to have to listen to hear what he's actually saying. But the words are on the screen also. So here we go.
Call me by my true names. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow. Even today, I am still arriving. Look deeply. Every second I am arriving. To be a bud on a spring branch. To be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest. To be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower. To be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am a mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the river. And I am the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I am a frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond. And I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on a frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself in the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands, and I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the 4 oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughter at once. So I can see that my joy and my pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up, and the door of my heart could be left open, the door of compassion.
That's pretty stunning. That every time I see and hear that, it just breaks my heart wide open. Please call me by my true names. I am all these things. Yeah, Sharon, what do you want to say there?
Oh, well, we're going to stop now and do A Course of Love.
That's right. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm a little verklempt here from actually from that poem. It always gets to me. So, well, thank you everybody for joining us here on ACIM Gather for A Course in Miracles here on YouTube. Please like and subscribe so that you can see and know when others of our fun teachings are on. And I'm saying this as I'm in